Yeah, I know, buddy. Those things really did happen to you, but they do not need to define you. You are not the pain. You are the one that experienced that pain, and you're still here, and you're still alive. And you don't need to let that story define you. You don't need to let the pain determine how you live the rest of your life. So let's grab a pen and rewrite that story. My name is Ed Hegan. I'm a former New York City firefighter and a mindfulness meditation coach. In today's meditation, I want to speak directly to the parts of us that are still carrying a lot of pain. And sometimes that pain from our lives, whether it's from childhood abuse or neglect, whether it's from adolescence, confusion of not having the guidance, or maybe it's from adulthood, from some of the work we do as professionals. We can carry around trauma from our work, our personal lives, and sometimes the things we're carrying we can wear like a protective suit of armor, but it can also really be heavy, and it can weigh us down and block us from experiencing the fullness of life. So this meditation is for those that are ready to step outside of that, take off that suit of armor, disidentify with their victim mentality, and really step into the truth of who they are. And let's start this meditation with some grounding breath work. Let's exhale all the air out of our lungs. Breathe in slowly through the nose and fill your belly. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Inhale slowly through the nose, saying, I am aware. Hold with deep awareness. 3, 2, 1. Release, saying, I am not my story. Inhale through the nose, fill your belly. I am not my past. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release and let go of what no longer serves you. Inhale loving acceptance for yourself. Hold in strength and confidence of who you are. And release any stress or tension. Invite some calm into the shoulders, the chest, the neck, the belly. Notice any tension and release it. And let's go over some key points about this victim mentality. It's not about denying the pain, and we definitely don't want to get into unhealthy habits of trying to pour booze on it, just scrolling our lives away, working too much, addicted to food and being busy and all the negative and unhealthy habits and patterns that can destroy us. Let's not deny the pain. Let's use the pain to understand ourselves. Because when the pain becomes our identity, when the things that happen to us define us, it's hard for us to release the pain because our identity has been built around what has happened to us. So we need to get a little space between who we are and what has happened to us. And so when we derive our identity and our sense of being from what happens to us, this can feel like we still need to give ourselves this attention, almost as if the wound hasn't been seen or tended to. And so we still need to continue to hold on to it because it doesn't feel comfortable to release it if we haven't really processed it fully. So we can even ask ourselves about the story of what hurt us as being the central narrative in our lives. Maybe this comes from our parents or from a partnership, a marriage, or a relationship that just never really felt like you were seen and heard and understood. Maybe you were overlooked or neglected or abandoned. And then we sometimes repeat these wounds in adulthood. And so then the narrative becomes that we are unlovable or we're not worthy of love. And so when we unconsciously believe that because of this, I can't be loved, or because this happened, I'll never experience connection again, or because of what happened back then, I'm broken or unlovable. This mindset keeps us stuck in cycles of fear, blame, and it really disempowers us. Because if we're always telling ourselves that the story of what happened to us is responsible for the way that we feel, then we always give our power away. But if we start to take ownership that the feelings that we have, yes, they are as a result of what happened to you. But if we can understand what happened to us, if we can really break it down and ask ourselves if it's true and evaluate it, we can free ourselves from it. I want to give an example, like if we are carrying around pain from childhood, we might recognize that our mother or father was abusive, neglectful. They abandoned us, overlooked us, or mistreated us. Maybe we were abused verbally, physically, psychologically. And if that's the case, we might want to feel like there is something inherently wrong with us, that we didn't deserve to be loved. But if you see your mother or father or caretaker as a broken person who didn't have the skills or the tools to love you and guide you in the ways that you needed, then you can ask yourself, did that person not love me because I am inherently bad and unlovable? Or was that person also unloved, hurt, wounded, abandoned, and neglected? And if the second story is truer, that the person is also someone who carries around pain and wounds, wouldn't that mean that their pain has nothing to do with whether you are lovable or not? If you can even write that out, you might be able to clearly see as an adult that the pain you carry from childhood is one of a wounded child. But if we can use the adult version of ourselves to evaluate whether that's true or not, if we dispel that myth and see that that is no longer true, we might actually develop a little compassion and forgiveness for the person who perpetrated this against us. Not that we need to excuse it, not that we're going to forget it and say it was okay, but if we just understand it, if we can release it as not being connected to our sense of worth or value, we can let go of a huge portion of it and allow ourselves to be free by forgiving. And forgiving them says nothing about excusing that behavior, but everything about how we want to honor ourselves and release it so that we can be free. And awareness is really the key to this shift. So we can ask ourselves, what story am I telling myself about myself? Is this story true? Because most of us inherited these stories and traumas from family or from past failures. And we don't need to continue to pay for the mistakes of our ancestors, our grandparents, and all the people that had no idea how to love a child properly because they weren't loved properly. Now, this story you tell yourself may have protected you at some point in the past, but you got to ask yourself, is the story I'm telling myself about myself still serving me today? Does it empower me? Does it help me grow? Or is it holding me back and weighing me down? So now you become the narrator and you become the narrative. You can even tell yourself, like, I'm not a victim of my past. I'm a survivor. I'm a learner. I'm a transformer. I am going through a metamorphosis. I am using this as an opportunity to shift my perspective. And I'm going to change the story and learn the lessons. What would happen if you saw what happened to you as an opportunity to learn and grow? What would happen if you said to yourself that everything happens to me is in alignment with my highest good? That even the pain and the suffering I've endured have made me stronger and are helping me become more resilient? There would then be value to what happened to you. And is it true that you can simply take something from the past that was really painful and learn the lessons and become stronger, and thereby the very thing that once defined you and weighed you down is the very thing that now uplifts you and teaches you to be stronger? And what if you learn to be different? What if you break the cycle and you become a better version of yourself and you become a better parent? Then what? Then the very thing that happened to you helped you to become the version of yourself that you needed when you were a child. And you now get to reparent your inner child. And if you have your own children, you can do things differently and break the cycle. And so the pain you endured would become a valuable lesson that can help you to become better, more resilient, and to release some of the pain that you've been carrying for a long time. So every painful moment holds a lesson, not a life sentence. And reframing it doesn't mean pretending that it didn't hurt. It means that you get to choose the meaning that you give it. That's not up to anybody else to define that or decide what that means to you. It's up to you. So you get to say, this may have shaped me, but it does not define me. So understand that we can literally shift the value of this thing that we thought was holding us back. And alchemically, we can transform that thing into the very thing that is the catalyst for our growth. And so there is a power in integrating these lessons. What did that experience teach you about people, about life, about yourself? What strength did it unlock in you? What valuable lessons or wisdom can you carry forward without still carrying the wound, but just the lessons? This is where awareness comes in, where you drop the pain, drop the story, but take the lesson and integrate that into your life. So integration is turning that pain into fuel, not a label, but using that pain to help drive change in a positive way. And I'd just like to invite you to consider the freedom that you can have by rewriting your story. The freedom that you can experience when you drop the narrative of limitation. When we stop rehearsing this identity of being wounded and looking for the attention from that. And what if we choose a new story? A story in which you rise above this. Not to deny the past, not to ignore what happened, but to walk beyond it and to release it and to let it go, which can be one of the most beautiful gifts you might ever give yourself. And it will affect your life and the people around you significantly. So, just to be clear, victimhood was never your identity. It was just a chapter in your experience. It is not your destiny. You get to rewrite your destiny. And yes, hard things happen to you, but you're still here. You're still breathing. You're still growing, and you're capable of rising and healing, because you are not what happened to you. You are who you choose to become. And if you change your life, you can change your story. And if you change your story, you can change your life. And you don't have to do this alone, brother. If you want to learn more about deepening your meditation, or how breathwork can keep you grounded, or if you want to break down some of the things you've been holding on to understand what the lessons are and how to integrate them, you can always reach out to me at edwoodstock.com and book a free discovery call. And this could be the beginning of really releasing some of the things you've been holding on to for years or decades. And in this way, you can develop a new relationship with yourself, a more kind and loving accepting relationship with yourself, you can become the version of yourself that you needed to love and protect and accept you in the ways that you've always wanted. And in this way, you learn to practice a self-care that maybe nobody ever encouraged you to practice. And if you develop a whole new relationship with yourself and the stories you tell yourself, you can rewrite your story. So take care of yourself and take care of each other.